Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to this very first edition of Regal Nest. We have branded this as Regal Nest, a platform for reciprocal peer coaching. This has been something on the works for a very long time. We thought we have these peer coaching groups, we have cohort groups, then we also created some subgroups, the last few months. I thought that was good enough, but this request or demand kept coming, both internally and externally. So we are starting off something internal. Internal means for our coaches for a couple of editions, and at some stage we intend to open this up for a larger audience. Yeah, I mean the way I visualize this is going to be the global reciprocal peer coaching community, and we'll try to incorporate different parameters that will support the coaches who are going to be part of it. Yeah, so from that point of view, any best practices that you're aware, feel free to get Shweta know so that we'll keep noting them, and whatever is feasible and whatever is relevant for the coaches, we'll incorporate. The at the outset, the objective of this is to purely serve the coaches for sure. Community first is not a mere hashtag for us. It's something that we want to really, demonstrate for all of you. So this is your platform, and we are happy to support this. At the same time, the success of this will depend on your proactive support also. Yeah. So all those who have joined today, first edition, thank you, and we hope you all become torch bearers for this. And anything that you want us to improve, something is not working, Shweta is a first point of contact. So Shweta has very kindly taken this volunteering role to lead this from the front. Anirudh, me, Sonia, and all are going to support her from behind, and then our wholehearted support will be with her and for rest of the torch bearers. Yeah, because she needs some additional support. She can't run it alone. So the way we have structured this is, in every edition, we'll have one of us, me, Rekha, Swami, or Mani, some of the lead faculty, and hopefully later we'll get somebody like John or someone else, friends who are considered to be mentors and who are popular mentors, who are good mentors, at least some others, not me. So we are going to get them introduce a competency. Yeah, so from the next edition onwards, this initial talk will not be there. We'll straight away start with the competency, maybe 10-15 minutes. We'll set the context so that we focus that day on that particular competency, right? So question, just give me, the CC number 1 to 8. Which is your favorite competency in the chat box? Out of the 1 to 8, which is your personal favorite among the competencies? Good. You can see 5 from Gayatri, 8, 3. Yeah, anyone else? 3, 3, 1, 3, 3, 8, 4. Yeah. Yeah. So 3 and 8, I'm very happy that that is particularly very relevant, the two pillars of the framework. One, absolutely most important part of your test for all of us who will be taking tests in the near future. See, you all are very comfortable with the other 7 competencies. What you need to brush up more, perhaps, is ethics. So good that ethics is also coming up, because I hear some mentors saying that we don't do enough time spent on ethics, right? So 3 and 8, yeah, good, Nirmal. It can't get better than that. So what is missing is 5, 6, 7. 4 is also there. Vivek said trust. Great. 5, 6, 7 is missing. Now 7 is there. Princess said 7. So 6 and 7. For me, when I started my journey on the ACC, PCC path, I was fascinated by listening as a skill or listening as a competency. So this is just when I was making the transition from corporate. So for me, wow, there's so much to learn, unlearn, and relearn in the space of listening. And for a long time, that was the first competency that we covered, whether it was for ACC, PCC, or even the leader as coach programs that we cover. But somewhere we shifted that to CC3 and 8 because that became the pillars, and rightly so. So we are glad that we made the transition. So today we are going back to the roots. For the first edition, we are starting with CC6, listening. Yeah. So today, all of you will do the entire session for around 30, 40 minutes. Shweta will confirm that. Some of the book, how we are going to manage the rest of the 2 hours. Uh, you need to focus a little extra on listening throughout. So one intent that I am setting on behalf of all of us here today is we make that delta improvement in our listening skills at the end of today's session. The reason is whether you're a coach or an aspiring coach, professional coach that is, or you're an executive, some of you are working, some of you are doing other entrepreneurial ventures like Sundar. Whatever is the role that we play professionally, listening is the foundation of both leadership and coaching and entrepreneurship. So you'll never go wrong with that. That's why we are deliberately picking up listening. We have discussed internally and debated, then we arrived at listening. Yeah. So every session will start with listening. One competency as the focus, like listening today. We'll have 2 sessions, practice sessions. Then at 8:45, there will be the Zoom will stop all the breakout rooms, and you all will be pulled back into the main room, and we'll spend 15 minutes only on any reflections. See, these reflections have to be very deep. No, not the beginner's mindset that we're looking at there, right? We all are ahead of the beginner's mindset. What is the depth that you discovered in the session, either from the coaching point of view or a coaching point of view? So that's what listening is. Yeah. Now, having set the context, I'll spend few minutes on the competency. Yeah, listening. So I just kept this ready. You can see. We'll just look at the definition and a couple of other points that resonate for me. In the interest of time, we'll not get into any discussion at this stage. But if you feel that should be part of the structure, maybe on a future edition, we'll bring it back. Now, focus is on what the client is, right? So the marker says what the client is listening, what the client is not listening. But here in the definition, it says what the client is. It's about the client, way beyond what the client is saying and even not saying. It's at a being level of the client. Can we tap into that being level of the client and listen at that 4th level of listening that Otto Sharma speaks of, generative listening? So if you're connecting at the being level of the client from a being level of me, then naturally that is generative listening. Yeah, if you're doing anything lesser, you're listening for potential, you're listening to respond, you're not listening to react. Just remember that's all at a lower vibration. It's not what the PCC marker or the definition demands from the coach. So focus on what the client is in all its full potential, right? And it is not saying to fully understand what is being communicated. So communication is just an incidental part of it, whether it is what is saying or not saying. And we all in Regal Community, we don't talk about body language at all. We are more tuned to look at the shift in that modulation, that energy level, that the subtle smile, that subtle shift in body, not even at the physical level, right? What is the shift that is happening in the client? We go way beyond body language. So that is what is being communicated in the context of client systems. Yeah, that is the third part. It's about what the client is, but it's just not the client as a person. It's the ecosystem around the client. It is the ecosystem around the client. That's why Prosperous Coach says when you coach, you transform the world. Now, when you're coaching that one client on something very, very small topic, and then you go deeper into 3.1, what is the goal behind the goal? The cascading effect starts from there. Why I'm so obsessed with 3.1? The goal behind the goal is If you're just going to stay with that symptom that the client is bringing up, you're just touching barely the surface of the client. It is not what the client is. It's what the client thinks, or it's what the client projects. You're not gone deeper. But when you go deeper, that's what you're looking at the context of client systems. Client system is the entire ecosystem of the client, right? At work, in life, in community. That's why it's very important that remember this when you're coaching a client, you're not just coaching the client. Because if you're listening at the generative listening stage, the fourth level, then that client is just incidental to it. And to support the client's self-expression. That is the fourth part. I mean, if you do the 1, 2, and 3, the fourth part, that is to support client's self-expression, there is not even an effort. It happens in the moment. That's why I go back to that golden triangle, right? The coach and the coachee. But here we are talking about at a higher level. There is nothing to support the client. You are supporting at the being level, and both coach and the coachee. Yeah. So remember, it is what the client is, not what the client is communicating, talking, or the non-verbal. It's in the context of the client systems. That's why we always talk the difference between the what and the who. The what is what the client thinks, what the client says, and all that stuff, right? At a transaction level. Client system is the being level to support the client's self-expression, who the client can truly be. What is that self-expression coming from a position of client's potential? Yeah? Too heavy, or was it relevant? Was it useful? Sure. Yeah. So that is about the definition. I'm not going to the breakup of that in the interest of time. I've already overshot time. So the coach is questioning and observing, customized based on what the client has learned, what the coach has learned about the who of the client is, or the client situation, the who and the what. The listening is both the who and the what. Now we start with the what and then we move to who. We ignore the what. No, right? This is what the words client is using. Communication. This is about beyond the communication to the emotions, right? Again, that shallow expression of emotion also should not be distracting you as a coach. When I say shallow, not judgmental. Some people are just by nature keeps laughing at themselves and when they talk about themselves. Now we are not interested in that, right? That is a pre-ACC level demonstration, not even ACC for our community. Our ACC community is what is behind that emotion. Yeah, the energy shifts, right? These are all very important. Focus on energy shifts. Other things will happen automatically. Yeah, it's about how the client perceives themselves or their world. Now the client systems comes here. The client is still part of that system, right? Even when they're perceiving themselves, it's still a microcosm of the environment around them. No interruption. But mastery in coaching is you know when to interrupt, you're confident to interrupt, and you interrupt for the benefit of the client. It's not my discomfort that, oh, I have 1 hour engagement, 1 hour conversation, and I'm not going to do justice to the client. No, there is no performance pressure for us, right? Even if the client talks non-stop for 10 minutes, we know that we are capable enough to bring the client back. And by the end of the session, with 5 minutes to spare, we'll still close the session, right? I keep quoting this. When we did Coaching Unlimited in Bangalore, I don't think anyone from that group is here because they are from the senior groups. Both John and PK demonstrated a session. PK does not wear a watch, and I don't think John was wearing a watch, but he was not looking at the time at all. He did not look at the clock at all. Both of them finished the session at around 55 minutes. Both of them. And that is mastery. And no, Vivek, Shweta, and all who have attended Coaching Unlimited know how good their mastery is. So, you're not interrupting initially. Then you know that at times I have to interrupt. Dancing in the moment, the process takes over. So don't be distracted by the need to interrupt or the reluctance to interrupt. It should come as a dance in the moment, right? And this 6.7, though some of us who are in the habit of summarizing or paraphrasing, all of us generally tend to kind of dilute 80-20 or 85-15, right? So paraphrasing is very dangerous. Let the client paraphrase, let the client summarize. Just pick up a keyword or a phrase and play it back. So you observe, you offer, then ask a question. You observe something that is coming from your listening. You offer, this is what you said. So just a lead, right? The client is anyway talking, client is thinking. We don't need to repeat it is boring for the client and it eats into 80-20. So summarizing succinctly is an absolute necessity in your session. So nobody, those of you are going to become a coach now, no way you're going to cross 80-20. Right? 80% the client has to speak. Anything that is an improvement on that is a bonus for us. Right? So, so I set the context. I've introduced or reintroduced or refreshed CC6 for you all. Over to Shweta on the a few words about what is her perspective on this initiative and how do we intend to take it forward. And big thanks to you, Shweta, for volunteering for this particular initiative. And I know some others like Sundar, we all are going to come back for your help for some other initiative, right? Yeah. Over to you, Shweta.
Thank you, Subhash. I really don't have anything more to say. You've just briefed everybody beautifully. I'm just very grateful because I think Subhash and I were talking about this yesterday at the shortness of the time, that we gave everybody to register. So I think it just speaks volumes about your commitment to coaching and the commitment that Regal has to coaching that inspired you to be here today in spite of your busy schedules, in spite of, there's Ganpati Utsav going on, so many things. But I'm just so grateful that this is my first um, kind of working close with Regal and Subhash and Anirudh. Just look forward to more support from all of you. Other than that, I think Subhash has beautifully covered everything at the beginning of the session. So I think we should, without wasting much time, we should just get into the breakout rooms and begin.